Take a look at this painting. I bet you recognize the person in this portrait. That's right, it's Van Gogh. The question is, did he really paint this? Let's dive into one of the most controversial art mysteries in the world. You're going to love this story. This story starts back in 1893 when a minister named Sal sells this painting to a man in Paris, France. This man, supposedly a patron of the restaurant of the Rue des Petits Carots in Paris, holds the painting until December 7th of 1917, when he sells it himself. Let's fast forward to 1946, after World War II. The painting reappears when an American art importer, Yves Lewenthal, is driving along the French countryside, has a flat tire, hops into a local bistro near Paris for lunch and a phone call, and spots this dusty old painting on a wall. He immediately recognizes it as a Van Gogh, which leads to Jacob Bart de la Faye, a Dutch art expert, to authenticate the painting a year later. That takes us to 1948, when Hollywood big man and art collector William Goots enters the picture. Goots happens to be one of the founders of 20th Century Fox. Both he and his wife Edith loved art, and their swanky house was known for parties with big celebs, amazing food, and art-covered walls. While in Hollywood, Goots pays $50,000 for Study By Candlelight. That's the equivalent of $500,000 today. The next year, in 1949, the director of the Amsterdam Museum says this painting's a fake. And Van Gogh's nephew even agrees. That same year, 1949, a group of art professionals met at the Metropolitan Museum in New York and declared the painting a fake as well. But the story gets even better. A year later, a European committee is organized by Jacob Bart de la Faye, yet the same Dutch art expert. Well, actually, he was trained as a lawyer, not as an art expert. But he put the first catalog together of Van Gogh's work, so I guess that makes him an expert? De la Faye's committee concluded that, without a doubt, it's the work of Van Gogh. To take it a step further, in 1950, the Department of Treasury in the US determines 75% of Van Gogh experts have confirmed it's real, so I guess it's authenticated. Well, for now, let's keep moving. Finally, getting his purchase legitimized, Goots ships the painting from Europe to the US, which ended up costing him $5,000 in tariffs. Needless to say, he was not happy about that. Goots places his hard-fought prize proudly above his living room fireplace. I have to admit, it looks pretty awesome, right? But this story is not over yet. In 1970, Goots dies, and Sotheby's auction house sells 16 of Goots' pieces for $2.7 million. Not too bad. However, in 1988, when his wife Edith passes away, Christie's auctions off the remainder of the Goots collection for, get this, $85 million. Yeah, that's a lot of cash. But the Goots family receives a few pieces back because the value could not be determined. And you guessed it, one of those pieces was this one, Study By Candlelight. A part of this story I love is that the Goots children decided to take turns having the painting in their homes, since for them, the painting was now part of their childhood DNA. It really didn't matter to them what the value was anyway. It's not until 2012 that the Goots family and the Nevada Museum of Art decided it's time to bring this painting back to the surface. They decide to curate an amazing exhibit about this story and bring on John Twilley, a famous art conservation scientist. Yeah, think CSI mixed with famous artwork. Sounds like a fantastic job. Twilley is tasked with the job of finally determining, did Van Gogh actually paint this or not? He uses X-ray and infrared technology as well as paint pigment analysis. Two details from his findings are pretty interesting. First, the painting contains a still life underpainting of splayed books in geometric shapes. Secondly, he also found naturally occurring pigments in the painting, which are consistent with those available in 1888. Both of these factors could legitimize this painting. However, science has its limits, and even though Twilley tried his best to determine the authenticity of this painting, no definitive answer was found. All that said, this makes one incredibly fascinating story. Knowing what you know now, I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Is this a legit Van Gogh, or did a rich art collector get suckered into buying a forgery? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, be outrageous.